Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Enneagram Type 5s, and we're going to be looking at what we call the defense strategy or the defense mechanism that Type 5s use, and it's called isolation. So every one of the Enneagram types has a different defense strategy or defense mechanism. You might think of it as like a protective strategy to deal with some of the problems or fears that each type has. Now, if you want to learn more about this, I would encourage you to just go to my website, tomlahue.com, go up to the store tab, click on that. You're going to see a bunch of ebooks, and download the ebook that's called The Hidden Battle. It's up on the top left of the books, and it's free. It's just a 27-page ebook that I put together of all the defense strategies. And also on my website, I do offer a lot of different options for you. I offer Enneagram coaching, which is life coaching, but it's based on the Enneagram. You know, the Enneagram's a great tool to help us know more about ourselves and the people we love. And sometimes relationships can be challenging, and just life can be challenging. And I'm here to help. Reach out to me. I'd love to walk you through my new Present to Life coaching program. Uniquely designed around your type, around your needs and your challenges. And also I have a lot of different Zoom classes available and on-demand classes. So I'd love for you to work with me, and any way I can help. Type 5s, the defense mechanism is called isolation. Now, if you know anything about Type 5s, or you are a Type 5, your brain is probably already firing, like the need to get away, the feeling overwhelmed, or feeling like your resources are depleted and I need to get away and withdraw and recharge. And that's essentially what it is. It's I need to get away from these, people or events or activities that are obligations that are draining and depleting and exhausting my resources, or are pulling my focus of my attention away from what I want to pay attention to all of these overwhelming demands. And so 5s, of course, are a withdrawn type. 5s, 4s, and 9s are all withdrawn types. And, they're withdrawn for maybe a little bit different reasons. But think of 5s as being, my resources are feeling exhausted or depleted, and I need to get away in order to recover my energy, in order to see the relationship between things, to think things out, think things through, and, recover from all those factors that are pulling me in many different directions. So let's read what I've got here, and then we'll break it down and talk about it. Type 5s, typically called the investigators or the observers, are characterized by their intense need for knowledge and information, and being accurate in their information, being objective in their information, their need for independence, seeing themselves a little bit like an island unto themselves, wanting to have trade relations with other people, but not necessarily wanting other people to have constant access to them or their schedules, and the need for self-sufficiency, that need for competency. 5s are a competency type also. 1s, 3s, and 5s are all in a competency group. And 1s, I'm resourceful, and I'm vigilant, and I'm not lazy, and I do good work, and I'm accurate, and I'm clean and tidy and neat, and all my numbers, work out to bottom line 0. And 3s, I'm competent in my ability to overcome the obstacles and to push myself and to be up for the challenge and to be fantastic. And 5s, I'm competent in my ability to take care of myself and to have accurate information or accurate knowledge. Now, if you doubt that, just imagine if you are a 5. How does it feel to be in a class, for example, with a teacher that you don't think really knows the information, somebody that you would say is incompetent? How does that make you feel to be listening to a teacher, a professor, or even a video like this from somebody that you realize, like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about? there's this scene in Parks and Recreation. It's a TV show with one of the characters is definitely a 5, Ron Swanson. And Ron walks into a hardware store and he's looking for an item. He's looking for a very specific item. I don't remember the details, but he walks into the hardware store and, this younger person who works at the hardware store walks up to him and says, "Can I help you find something today, sir?" And Ron's immediate response to this guy is, "I know more than you." And that just kind of illustrates or typifies this competency issue with 5s. Like, I want to be the person in the room who either knows the most about this subject or is connected to those who are in the know of this subject. I don't want to be seen as somebody who is incompetent or who doesn't know what they're talking about. And so it's very important then that I go on this quest to gather information, understand it, and absorb it, and then be able to recite that information and explain to people. Now, a very unhealthy 5, they may make you feel very incompetent. It's kind of like we turn these things around. Like 7s might make you feel like you're a boring person. Oh man, that person's boring. Oh, they're, or a 2 may make you feel like you're an unloving person, or a 1 may make you feel like you're a bad person. And 5s may make you feel like you're very incompetent. So imagine like a very unhealthy 5 as the professor who gets up on the first day of class and tells everybody that no one's going to pass the class, and that his tests are unpassable, and we get some kind of like sinister, sadistic joy out of making other people feel like they are not in the know. It's kind of like sharing your fears with other people. And again, I said very unhealthy 5. I don't think all 5s are like that, but we've all known a few, right? The core desire, and also self-sufficiency. I forgot to mention that. So their intense need for knowledge, independence, and self-sufficiency. I can take care of myself. I don't need anything from anybody. I'm all right. And the never ever behavior for 5s is never underestimate a 5. Why? Because 5s tend to be very self-sufficient. I always think about it like this. If there was really a zombie apocalypse, probably the 5s, will be the last man standing. The rest of us, either our plans aren't good or we're not able to just bear the isolation or whatever it takes, the resources for long enough. And those crafty 5s, give them some duct tape and a screwdriver and they will figure out a way to bring the Apollo spacecraft back. Okay? So competent, their core fear is of being useless, incompetent, or overwhelmed by the demands of the world. And so, that's an awful feeling. It would feel awful to feel useless or incompetent, to feel like you don't know what to do, or you don't have the accurate information, or you're not able to measure up for the day. And people are looking at you and snickering because of your foolish answers. That would be an awful feeling. I agree. That would feel bad. It's not the worst feeling I can think of, but I'm not a 5. The core fears of being useless, incompetent, or overwhelmed by the demands of the world. Notice, like, the world is pictured as something that has a lot of demands on you. It's constantly chasing you down. It's constantly trying to vie for your attention and vie for the focus of your attention and deplete your energy. And I think overwhelmed, a good word for that is the feeling of exhaustion or the feeling of being depleted. And everybody can understand this. I mean, we're all humans, and even though we're not 5s, we can certainly understand what it feels like to feel overwhelmed and exhausted. The image that I get in my mind, or the illustration or metaphor I get in my mind, is every once in a while I'll substitute teach, just for the fun of it. I like to interact with people. I like to interact with young people and challenge them and be challenged by them. And every chance I get, I try to cover, this kind of information if I'm not locked into whatever the teacher has assigned for that day. I like to talk to them about, their life and their purpose in life, and what are they going to do when they graduate, and get them, kind of challenge them a little bit, inspire them. A little bit of Dead Poet Society, you might say. Robin Williams is 7, a little bit of that Dead Poet Society. And, my tri-type is 712, which is called The Teacher. And I love teaching in all of its aspects. So anyway, the image or the metaphor I get for this fear is, think about substitute teaching all day in a middle school. You know, they actually pay you $1 extra in Florida for substituting in a middle school, $1 a day, $1 an hour extra. They don't pay you very much, but you know, you're a substitute. You don't have to really prepare too much. Anyway, so imagine substituting all day in a middle school on a Friday. Oh, on a Friday. So you got all this like noisy, bouncy, a lot of sevens in those classes, you know, this noisy, bouncy, arguey, you know, I need to go to the bathroom, I need to answer my phone, the teacher doesn't really give us any homework, and can we just talk, and throwing, I mean, just imagine like all day in this junior high, 7th, 8th grade environment. How are you going to feel at the end of the day? Well, good chance that, you know, all of this energy and chaos and conflict and all this stuff that's going on, by the time you're done and it hits whatever, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you're ready to go home, you're done. You are just done. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be around anybody. I just want to go home in silence. I'm not even turning my radio on. I just want silence. I just want quiet. I just want to go home and watch my Law and Order. I just want to go home and watch my CSI or read my book. And I don't really want to deal with a neighbor or deal with the solar guy that comes and knocks on your door. Are you interested in solar? No thanks. I don't want to talk to you. No soliciting. And our next door neighbor is a 5. And, you know, right on his door, no soliciting. It's like, go away. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. And I just imagine like 5s maybe getting to that place a little easier or a little faster than sometimes the rest of us would. They may have like a little bit less ability to be interactive in all of that kind of environment for as long. Now, I'm sure you might say, well, I'm not like that at all, Tom. I'm not like that at all. Okay, there's always exceptions. And, you know, maybe your tri-type is different. You know, maybe you're a 5, 2, 9 or something like that, you know. So I don't know if that's exactly you, but that's the metaphor that comes to my mind. Just like coming home drained, exhausted, overwhelmed, depleted, and I just want to go home to the quiet and finish my book. I don't have time for any more chaos in my life. I don't have time for your big emotional outbursts. I don't have the time or the energy to give you the focus of my attention right now. I'm done. I'm off. I'm out, okay? I need to isolate and recover. So, isolation is the defense mechanism or the protective strategy or the defense strategy of 5s, the preferred strategy. So let's read about what isolation is. And again, this comes right out of the notebook. You can download it for free on my website. Just go to my tomlahue.com. It's in the description below. Download the notebook. And, you know, it's got this same information for every one of the types. Isolation for type 5s is called the hidden battle. All right, it's on the store page on my website. Isolation for type 5s involves withdrawing. You're like, oh, I can't believe he's actually just reading to us. Well, it's right here. Look, and I do read it. I wrote it, and now I'm reading it and highlighting it and adding to it, okay? So isolation for type 5s involves withdrawing from the external world. What's the external world? The world you live in, right? That's the world that most of us think of as being the real world. What's the opposite of that? Well, the internal world. So the external world, the world of wife and kids and dogs and doctor's appointments and cars that break down and paychecks and jobs, church. This is the external world that we all inhabit. And some of us are not very good at inhabiting our internal world or our inner world. In fact, a lot of the types, like 7s, for example, we may not spend a lot of time in that inner world. But most of the time, 5s, they talk about feeling more comfortable in their inner world than they are in their outer world or their external world. So the external world, imagine growing up and there's fighting and chaos and constant demands, and then that little 5, you know, retreats into their room and reads their book about Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer or Robinson Crusoe and just gets lost in this inner world that is very vivid and magical and wonderful. In this world, I can shoot lasers out of my eyes. In this world, I can float and fly. In this world, I don't have all these demands from all of these people pulling me and expecting things from me. In this world, I'm centered. In this world, I'm complete. In this world, I'm whole. Okay, so withdrawing from the external world, which is the world of wife and kids and jobs and very rich. Sevens are drawn to the outer world. So realize like 5s and 7s were kind of opposites here in this way. External world, protect their energy and manage their need for privacy and autonomy. Well, what's autonomy? Like self-rule, or I think of it like my little castle, right? And I want my castle to be self-sufficient. I don't want to have to need everything from other people. I want to be competent, independent, and self-sufficient and autonomous. This mechanism helps 5s maintain a sense of control over their environment and their inner world, often leading them to limit their interactions with others. Like, I ain't got time for that. I'll be physically present, geographically present. I'm in the meeting, but I'm not really here anymore. Like I left a long time ago. I'm transcendenting somewhere else right now, or transcending this meeting and going somewhere else in my mind. Somewhere more safe, somewhere more quiet, somewhere less draining and depleting of my energy. Limiting their interactions with others to preserve their mental energy and avoid feeling drained. And this could lead to like 5s walking past people and not saying hello or not acknowledging them. And you might think to yourself, are they upset with me? Honestly, they're probably not even thinking of you. Why would I give the energy to be upset with you? I don't even think about you. I think it's probably more the way 5s would think. And I am treating you the way I want to be treated. I want to be left alone, so I'm leaving you alone. And not understanding that other people might be perceiving this in a negative way, your isolation or your non-interaction. They might be perceiving that, imagine a 6 right next to you. I tried to talk to them and they just walked past me and they don't really want to have a conversation with me. What are they up to? What's going on? I need to watch this person. And the 5 is literally not thinking about you. Like, why would I spend the focus of my attention? Remember, the sin is greed, right? Why would I give attention to someone I don't care about or to some issue I don't want to know about? You're coming to me and you're wanting to interact with me. And so I will be pleasant and kind of move you away with a certain friendliness. Like, yeah, everything's great. Okay, well, I'll see you later. But I don't really want to know what you did last weekend. I don't really want to know how your husband's doing. I don't really want to know about your sick dog. Why are you in my space? Why are you in my office? Why are you talking to me right now? It feels like a demand. It feels like you're obligating me to listen to your stuff when I don't want to care about that. And again, I don't know that I understand this completely. I couldn't possibly understand it completely. But this is kind of my observation and sort of how I perceive what's going on. I always say, that when you walk into a 5's office and you begin laying out your problem, whatever it is, realize the first thing that 5 is thinking is, why are you in my office? Like, why are you bringing this up? Why are you in my space? And understanding that should help us to learn to interact in a way that's, more compassionate to the 5s that we love and care about, realizing that we might need to sort of like warm up a little bit, like, go in and say, hey, I know that now might not be a good time for you, but I need your attention for a minute. Is this a good time or should I come back later? I just need to prepare you because I need about 20 minutes of your time to really reflect on something. And then maybe I'll just give you the issue and then walk away and let you process and go to your inner world and see the relationship between things, figure it out. And then I'll come back tomorrow and, or you can catch me tomorrow and we can talk about it then. That may be like a better way to try to, instead of just barging in with your big concern right now, dominating this 5's space. So how isolation shows up for 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A list of 5 ways in which isolation, this defense strategy, might show up. How you might see it lived out or realized in your life as a 5. So number 1, emotional detachment. Emotional detachment. 5s may detach from their emotions to remain objective and focused on their interest or research, avoiding the messiness of emotional entanglements. So imagine like you're in a marriage that isn't going well, and the other person is not a 5, they're a 4 or a 2, or one of these feeling types, and they're coming after you saying, we need to talk, things aren't going well, I'm not satisfied in this marriage, I don't feel like you're really available to me. I don't feel really loved and cared for. I don't feel. And you as a 5 may think like, this is not my problem. Like, I'm not causing this. You need to stop feeling those things. And I just need to get away from this. This is draining and depleting me, and you need to go see a counselor and get in control of your feelings. And notice, as a 5, your tendency might be emotional detachment. Like, I need to not let myself get overwhelmed and feel all this emotional stuff so that I can remain objective to solve this problem. Remember, 5-wing 6s are called the problem solver. So I need to stay relatively above all of this emotional messiness so that I'm able to remain objective and see where the real problem is and who really has the problem, and clearly it's not me. Okay, now this can be a fantastic reality for the rest of us when we're going through a crisis, to have a level-headed, objective, centered person on our team who is able to look at the facts and sort of filter out all the emotional, you hurt my feelings, is filter out that kind of stuff and just get to the bottom line of the problem and help us to solve things. That can be a wonderful addition to a team, but it could be problematic in your marriage to remain emotionally detached. Like, I'm fine. I feel like everything's fine. I don't understand what the problem is. You need to need less. I don't know what to tell you. I can't be your everything for you. You need to settle down and calm down and get a grip over yourself, and you need to shove these emotions down and stop feeling stuff that's causing it to be problematic for me. And again, maybe I'm overstating this, okay? I'm not trying to poke at you or poke fun at you. I'm really just trying to give you my perspective of what might be going on if you are a 5 or you live with a 5, to just try to enter your world a little bit, and if I am way off, just realize that just goes to show you that the people that you're interacting with are not understanding this as well as you think they are. They're not understanding these interactions like you may not be coming across. If you listen to what I'm saying and you're like, gosh, this guy's he's way off. He doesn't get us at all. Okay, realize I'm a person who's trying to get it. Okay? And if I'm not getting it, and I'm a student of this, and I'm actually studying your personality, trying to understand you, how do you think the people that are really interacting with you on a daily basis perceive you? They're not understanding you either. Because okay, you just catch that, okay? All right, let's move on. Another way that this defense mechanism of isolation could show up is in limited social interactions. It's just you saying, I don't want to go to that. I don't want to be around those people. I'm fine not being invited to the thing. I don't want to be around them. I don't need them in my life. They might limit their social interactions to avoid situations that require more energy than they're willing to expend, carefully choosing when and whom they will engage with. So, again, that is isolation. That's kind of the definition of isolation, if you think about it, is just retreating back into my cave and not really wanting to be a part of the society, not really wanting to be a part of the community. Yeah, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Don't sign me up for all of your newsletters, and don't expect me to come to your rallies. I am an independent. And my guess is probably most 5s politically would see themselves as being independent. I'm not a joiner. I don't want to be a part of your little your little cohort. I don't want to be a part of your little coalition. And then you want me to pick up the phone and make all these calls? Yeah, that's not what I'm about. I'm independent. I'm isolated. And notice, like with this emotional detachment and also this limited social interactions, notice how you kind of hear the beginning rings of a four-wing emotional detachment. When you think about emotional, you can't help but think about type 4s, very in tune with their emotions, finding meaning and learning to like view the world through that lens of emotions. And then on the other hand, the interactions with the social group, you start to hear the beginning ringings of a wing 6 next to you. The community, the civilization, the society is your 6 wing. And notice how like these wings start to balance you out. Notice how balance could be a little bit leaning into that 4, going inward, and how do I feel about this, and what is my emotional message right now that I should be reading and gathering. And then also that 6 wing of pulling you back up to the surface where the community is, and realizing that there are great benefits in being a part of the family or a part of the community. Okay, number 3, privacy and autonomy, which again, that's basically the definition of isolation, being private and autonomous. I don't want other people to make demands on me or to tell me what to do. 5s highly value their privacy and their autonomy, often creating physical or psychological boundaries to protect their personal space and independence. Boundaries. You guys are the boundary kings, by the way. 9s have a problem with boundaries, especially 9 wing 1s. 2s often have a real problem with boundaries, but not you guys. I mean, you may, because all of us are different, but generally speaking, type 5s really do well with boundaries, like knowing where my space ends and your space begins, and your problem is your problem. Don't make it my problem. And I'll resolve and fix this stuff myself inside my domain, and I expect you to take care of yourself and fix your stuff, and we can negotiate and have relations, but don't push your stuff over into my yard because I don't want it. And, there's a lot of ways to communicate boundaries to people, and some of them are going to feel awkward. Some of them are going to make you feel awkward, and 5s, some of them have like this magical gift to like use awkwardness to push people away or to move things away from themselves that they don't want or people that they don't want. So they might communicate boundaries in very interesting ways. Okay. And healthy 5s, you guys could teach us more about boundaries. Like instead of just feeling obligated to protect your boundaries all the time, if you could open up a little bit and connect more with us, look, you would be, the ideal person to help the rest of us learn to think in more boundary appropriate ways. Because a lot of the relationship problems that I experience with couples a lot of the times is boundary problems. It's just people not taking responsibility for themselves, taking responsibility for others and then resenting them for it, or people just not expecting to take responsibility for myself and expecting the other person to come in and just clean up my mess or make me feel a certain way. And a lot of these are boundary problems that you guys could help us with if you weren't maybe so dug in your own boundaries all the time. Okay, another way that isolation may show up is your desire to deep dive into what you are interested in. So they tend to immerse themselves deeply in the subjects of their interest, finding solace and energy in understanding complex ideas and systems. Remember, 5s, you guys are a relational type. And when people first hear that, they're like, what? I live with a 5. They are not very relational. They're kind of like a cactus, Well, 5s are relational types with 2s and 8s. Think 2s are the obvious relational type, coming toward people to connect with them and to have a relationship with them. And they get a sense of worth and value from that. 8s, in relationship with others, connecting with people to then move with people or lead people to a desired outcome or destination, to empower people you might say healthy eights move with people in a relationship to move them forward. And fives, interestingly, they move away from people to discover the relationship between concepts or ideas, or to resolve issues or to resolve problems. So fives, although they are a relational type, it's not the typical way you think of it. It's like to move away from others to see the relationship between maybe things that seem unrelated, but they're trying to fill in those gaps and make those connections. And so fives, one of the ways that you might isolate yourself is to deep dive away from everyone else into this world that feels a lot safer and a lot more secure to you, which it may be the world of history or the world of science or the world of comic books or fantasy or whatever it is. But that feels more secure, more stable, and it feels like it's giving me something, where the external world feels like it's always taking something from me. Okay, and the last one is overwhelm avoidance. Overwhelm avoidance. By isolating themselves, fives try to manage their energy and avoid feeling overwhelmed by too many demands, expectations, and sensory inputs. Fives are the most likely to be disturbed by loud noises, or the most sensitive to volume. Kids playing, kids being loud radios, that kind of stuff, being bothered by that, being frustrated by that, being the old curmudgeon that comes out in the yard, "You kids, get out of my yard." It could be a 1, but it's probably a 5. Could be an 8, but it's probably a 5. The old guy that lives up in the corner house that never comes out, and his cat, is kind of like gnarly, and he just kind of comes out and barks at the kids, to get out of my yard, leave my trash cans alone. How you doing, Mr. Davis? No soliciting. Okay. And again, I'm not saying all fives are like that. I'm just saying that character, that funny character that, we all know and love. So fives do this, let's see, the demanding possession. Okay, look, I'm trying to read my notes. You can tell I have a lot of schooling because I can't even read my writing anymore. That's the sign of somebody who's highly educated. Fives do this to others. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. So fives, although they resist these demands on their attention, this is kind of what they do to us, the rest of us. You as a 5, you do this stuff to us all the time. When you start down your road telling us something you're interested in, and it's going to take 20 minutes, as you tell us all about whatever it is you're interested in, thermonuclear fission, or I don't even know if that's a real thing, but you start telling us about this thing, you want our attention. You want us to show up like a student interested in what you're saying. You want us to listen and hang on every word, and then to ask questions. Really? Well, that's so interesting. What made you start studying this? And then you talk for another 5 minutes, and we say, "Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Wow. Well, and how does this relate to that?" Oh, and then you talk for another 5 minutes. And notice how you want, when you're ready to share your information with somebody, you appreciate it when somebody allows their time to be demanded and by giving you their attention. And so this is one of the things that I remember a teacher on the Enneagram shared with me. He said, "Never treat fives the way fives treat you." And I think this is what he meant. He was a 5. And he said, never treat fives the way they treat you. And I think what he meant in the context was, when I come and share my information with a 5, if they haven't sought me out, like 5s, if they seek out a teacher, okay, but most of the time they're not seeking me out or you out as a teacher. And when you start trying to tell a 5 something they don't know, you'll often find them not really wanting to talk about that. They would rather talk about something they do know than to listen to me tell them about something they don't know. That makes them feel a little incompetent, or makes them feel a little uncomfortable, especially in a public setting. And so you might find that 5 dismissive, not giving you attention when you're talking to them, and giving you the impression that they can't really learn anything from you. So interesting, isn't it? So don't ever treat a 5 the way they treat you. Make sure you stay engaged and listening to them. If you want to connect with this 5, then you're probably going to have to connect through information and respecting their boundaries and giving them their space and not being too demanding on them if possible. And then when they do want to share information, staying engaged, asking questions, and being amazed and admiring them for their level of understanding. Wow, that's fantastic. I never heard this before. And then what else? And then what else? Oh, that's amazing. And you'll probably find that 5 will walk away from that feeling very connected, very positive over that experience. Okay, challenges and growth for 5s. So for 5s, growth involves balancing. Always it's balancing. It's not really fixing yourself as much as it is seeing how you might be a little unbalanced and then trying to balance again, like balanced diet, balanced schedule, and balance with the Enneagram. Balancing their need for isolation with the benefits of engaging more fully with the world around them and deepening their relationships. Or you could just say it this way, being more present to life, more present to the external world, more present to your kids, more present to your wife, more present to your husband, more present to your coworkers, being fully there when you're there with those people. These relationships with these people in your life are worth the problem that they cause you. They're worth the frustrations that they cause you. Balancing that desire to be in your safe inner space with venturing out into the community and making yourself and seeing yourself as a part of this external world, a part of this community. And here's some things you can do. Number 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. Embracing your emotions. Letting yourself feel your emotions, acknowledging and expressing your emotions with safe people in your life that love you and care about you, understanding that these emotions are a vital part of life and can enrich your experience. So look at that pulling you toward wing 4. Allowing yourself to feel stuff. That may be the way you have to say it to yourself. Like, I need to permit myself to go into these feelings and allow myself to feel this. Whatever it is. Next is expanding your comfort zones. Gradually expanding your social interactions. Notice how this pulls you toward that wing 6, like to the community. Expanding your social interactions and being more open to new experiences, recognizing that not all engagements are going to drain your energy. Some are actually going to energize you. There are many people who want to fill your bucket with good things. Yes, there are people that will put a hole in the bucket and drain you, but there are a lot of people in your life that want to fill your bucket, but you kind of interpret these interactions as draining, even when they are intended to fill you. And so expanding your social, and look at this, being open to new experiences, new stories, new movies, new books, new adventures. You're like, oh, that sounds disgusting. Not just repeat experiences or ones that you're comfortable with, that you share, and you're the expert in the room who's already seen the movie 5 times. Okay, energy management. Developing strategies for energy management that allow more interaction with the world while still respecting your need for solitude and recharging time. Next, vulnerability. Kind of the opposite of independence and competence and strength is vulnerability. Letting yourself be known, letting yourself be seen, sharing your weaknesses, your fears. Vulnerability, allowing themselves to be vulnerable with trusted others, sharing their thoughts, feelings, and needs more openly. And kind of as a child, you probably got the message that it wasn't okay for you to have needs. You need to be self-reliant, you need to be self-sufficient, you need to figure this out on your own. And your needs you were made to feel as though your needs were a problem for everybody else, and so just don't have them. And 5s tend to be people that don't need a lot and don't expect a lot, and are surprised when you need a lot from them, or are frustrated when you need a lot. Engagement with the world. Encourage themselves to participate more actively in life. Look, 8 and 7. You have lines to both of those. Realizing that engagement can lead to growth, learning, and fulfilled connections. So bringing your inner world and the richness of your inner world into your outer world a little more proactively and a little more intentionally. Now, here's the last paragraph I have here. By addressing their tendency toward isolation, 5s can find a healthier balance between their need for independence and the benefits of connecting with others and the world. This journey involves recognizing their value of emotions, the value of emotions, relationships, and engagement with life alongside their pursuit of knowledge and understanding. So, fantastic stuff. So helpful. I hope that this is encouraging to you, helpful to you, and gives you some more insights into yourself, how you're wired, how other people perceive you, and then ultimately to have the best life going forward possible. Realize I am a 7. My goal for you is to have a happy life, to be blessed, to be inspired, to be passionate, and to live with great relationships, and to find fulfilling work, and to live out your God-given purpose in life. And that starts with you and I being present to life as it is. So thank you for joining me for this video, and I'll see you next time.